I am the owner of a 30-foot Grand Design Imagine RV. And it's being pulled by a 22-foot Silverado 2500 HD truck for a total of 55 feet from the cab all the way back to the end of the RV. And this is a pretty good distance for a cheap backup camera to transmit from. But the Zero Club, which I have gotten off of YouTube's, and they seem to be the best for your money, and will definitely operate under those distances, or even further if you have to go further. But the one I ordered was the HW01 backup camera system. And I've already pulled it out of the box to demonstrate what comes in the box. And we have a 7-inch color monitor, and it comes with its own antenna, and it also has a plug-in that you can plug in your wiring to go into your cigarette lighter, or you can hardwire it up. But I prefer to plug it into the cigarette lighter, because that way I can remove it and it's less somebody can steal if they see it. It also comes with a sun visor that you put on, just slides down over the top of your monitor. And if you do decide to ever permanently mount it in your vehicle, this is a mount that you would put on here like this and mount it either down on your dash or up above your head. And it comes with a 2-sided stick-on to do the job with. And it also comes with a 3-inch arm that you can mount. They are arms that you would mount on each side to mount permanently. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to mount mine. I have a textured dash, and therefore I'm going to mount mine with a bean bag, like this one here. The monitor's mounted on top with a bean bag. Just slides right on. And that's because I have a textured dash. You can also mount it in the window, which Zero Club will provide you with a suction cup mount that would mount to the back of, just mount onto the back, slides right on there like this, and mounts to your windshield. However, I have already got a dash cam for recording out of the front, and it's mounted to the windshield, and that would just make too much to mount into the window itself, so that's why I'm using the bean bag. The package also comes with a camera to mount on your RV, on the back of your RV, and it comes with a 1.5-inch mounting bracket. And it also comes with your antenna that you would mount. And the antenna, once you mount it on there, slide it on there, screw it on there like that, bends up and down like this. And that's your camera. You can either plug it in, or you can hardwire it in with this plug. And this red plug that's on the end of the camera here is your pairing plug. No, I take it back. The black plug in this case is the pairing plug, not the red one. And it pairs this camera with this monitor. And therefore, if you ever decide to change your camera or your monitor, you need that on there. So we do not want to cut this off. And therefore we'll have a lot of wiring that we need to hide on the back of your RV. And my RV came with a Furrion shark fin applicator. It's a box, and if you bought Furrion, which is very expensive and not really that good, this camera is much better. You would hide your wiring up inside this container here. But I decided to take this off and I had to buy a special bracket made by, if you want to zoom in on this right here, it's made by Halo View, backup camera, backup adapter. And this fits exactly, the holes in this bracket here fits exactly the holes on the Furon, like that. So we're going to use this bracket with this camera, and we're going to take these arms off here and use these 3-inch arms on it on the side of the camera instead of on the monitor, and mount it to this bracket so that I can get this camera far enough away from my running lights on my RV so that I can adjust. This bracket will not be down like this, it'll be on its side, and as you can tell, if it's on the side here, I can't adjust. It hits, and therefore I can't adjust this antenna. So that's why I'm using the 3-inch long arms on here, and therefore my antenna will miss hitting the RV, and it will be out of the way of the backup running lights. And so that's what I'll show you in just a few minutes out here. This bracket comes with an adapter cord, which is perfect for the camera. You plug it in here, and then this plugs in to the Furon pre-wired connection on the back of my RV. Just plugs right in there. Then we have to hide all this wiring, which I'll show you what I did on my RV out there. So that's what all comes with it. This bracket also comes with its screws and washers to put it up, and the monitor and everything here comes with extra. Comes with a screwdriver and wrenches and washers and everything to do its mounting. This was the existing camera I had on my RV, and I have to take this one off and put the new camera on it and pair it with my new monitor. So we'll take the screws out and take the camera off, and these are the 3-inch arms I was telling you about that came in the package. And if you notice, one of them's got a slash on it, so in order to mount the camera correctly so that you can adjust it, this has to be the left one, so I marked it with an L, and this has to be the right side so that the camera can rotate correctly in these slots here, so that we can either have it straight out or down. You can rotate a wide berth there of rotation. So we will begin by putting I put the 3-inch arms on here with the legs turned inward, and these screws came provided with the package for this adapter. Screws came with it, but it didn't come with these washers. These washers are what we call fender washers. They're wider, and it's just a wider washer, and as you can tell, it keeps it from falling out of these holes when you mount it in these holes here, because these holes are too big for just normal washers. So we have to use fender washers. So I mounted them that way with fender washer on each side and put the legs, and they almost exactly match the edge here. But I adjusted it before I tightened down to the actual camera, to the width of the camera. It slides on. So the first thing you got to do with the new one, after you've taken the old camera off, is put the wires through the middle hole. You have to do one at a time because both of them won't go at the same time. And once you've done that, then you have to put the adapter on. And that plugs in, this end plugs in to the red end here, like this. And this is your pairing switch. This you can't cut this off because, like I said, if you change cameras, you've got to have this on here in order to make sure your camera is paired to your monitor. So now that we've got that plugged in there, if I were to push this into the RV in the hole that I've got up there to mount all this wiring into, and later on pull it out, it might separate like this. So I want to make sure it doesn't. So I bought me a what we call heat shrink tube, and you just slide it over the wire like this and over the connection here like that, and evenly space it so that you're there and you're there. And then we'll go over here and heat shrink it with a heat gun. I'll turn the heat gun on. It provides heat and causes this to shrink. And it takes a few minutes. You've got to go back and forth so it's not unevenly. As you can see, it's shrinking. It's shrinking right here, all around, and making a real tight fit. And once you got one side done, then we'll heat shrink the other side. Heat shrink it down till it just closes right up. Like that. And that's how you heat shrink it. Now that we've got it shrunk, we'll let it cool down a minute. It can't be pulled apart. The only way to separate it the next time is to cut this. Just take your knife and cut around it and actually cut the heat shrink, and it'll separate. Okay, now that I've heat shrunk this and made a tight connection so it won't separate, I'm going to put the camera on here correctly, the backup camera. And like I said, I marked one with L and one with R, so it's not to get them confused when I put them up there. And this would be backwards. If I put it up backwards like that, the camera won't rotate correctly. So here I've got this left, and the left is the one with that goes up here. Goes up, and this is flat on the top. So now we'll put the screws in there, and as you can tell here, let's put a screw in there just to demonstrate it. Just put a screw in there and tighten it up. One on the other side. Well, if I can get it in the hole. There, move. And they send you a little Allen wrench to do it, to help screw that in there. So we'll screw it in, center hole. Semi-tighten it down, and now you see why we had the 3-inch arm on here, so that the antenna can miss the arm and rotate. You got considerable. If this is mounted flush on the back of your RV, you can either have it straight out or down as much as you want. The other way, with this other arm, you could not do that. The arm hit the antenna. So that's why we have to take that off and use this arm instead. So now we'll go out and hook it up. Here I'm showing you the Furon container that if you bought a Furon, their camera would go inside this container here. But you just take out 4 screws, 2 on either side, and you've got this washer that conceals the wiring. The wiring was on the inside, and I pulled it out. And then you take your new monitor, which you've already hooked to the adapter bracket, so that this will miss hitting your running lights right here. So we'll take this and we'll plug it into this connection, and it snaps in. It's a real tight fit, so I don't think I'll need any heat shrink on this. When I pull the wire out, it'll stay hooked up. So then we just take all this wiring and we shove it back in this hole. And I'll be back with you in a minute. Okay. I think it's important to show that this is where it connected, and you can tell it really hooks up real tight. But I also had to take that washer off, the grommet, the rubber grommet, and feed the wire through the rubber grommet and then hook it in there. And I had to enlarge this hole because all they had was a small drilled hole in here for their wiring, for the Furon wiring to come out. But I had to enlarge this hole. There's several ways you could do this. You could either drill a big hole all the way through and mount it on the inside of your RV, but I couldn't do that because I have cabinets on the inside. So I had to enlarge my hole on the inside, not here on the outside. I don't want to make this any larger than it is. And here are the 4 holes that you mount the bracket on. So now that I've enlarged that, we can push this wiring up in there, and it's kind of a tight fit. Push it all in there, in that hole. Shove it up in there. Oops, I must have shoved it the wrong way. Let's see, go this way. There we go. Now it's in there. And be sure to push the switch that pairs this camera with your monitor inside. Put it also in that hole so that it does not get wet. We don't want it to get wet, so we'll make room for it. Push it up in there like that. And then we'll maybe get a screwdriver here and kind of see if we can't get some more room in there. There we go. So that we can get the rest of this wiring in there. Although the rest of this wiring doesn't need to be in there, but if you want a nice, neat looking operation here, we'll shove the rest of this wiring in that hole, like so. And then we'll put the grommet back in place, like this. And once we put the screws in, we will fill that up with caulking, with silicone caulking. So we'll put a screw in there. And put one on the other side. Line up the holes. Tuck this little bit of wiring that we got left over back up underneath this bracket, like so. And now we have a nice, neat installation, and we can rotate this camera. And when we get inside and look at the monitor, we can have somebody out here and to adjust it. But as you can see now, our antenna does not hit the running lights. And this is where we're getting our power. So when you turn on your running lights, you'll have power for the camera. So now we've got this installed tight. I would keep this in case you decide to ever sell your RV and want to take your camera with you. You can put this back on, they'll never be the wiser that you took it off. Okay, I put the monitor up on my dash, and as you can tell, I've got a textured dash, so that's why I'm using this bean bag. And I've got a dash cam that's up here in the window, so there's no way I can mount this monitor up in my window, so that's why I hooked this bean bag up to it. And as you can tell, it is on there real tight. It will not slide around. So now I'm hooking my cigarette lighter up to my cigarette lighter holder here, which I bought so that I can have more options here. It's got several UV ports for my phones for charging, and also gives me a voltage count for my truck battery to let me know if I'm running low on my battery. So, but anyway, we'll plug it into the cigarette lighter, and I have to turn the truck on. And as you can tell, I don't have any signal from my backup camera right now, but if I turn my running lights on over here, it should connect up, and there it is. It was already paired. I didn't really need that pairing thing, but just in case I switch out to a different kind of camera, I will need that on there, so that's why we left it on there. But here you can see the camera's working, and look at the colors in that. It's just fantastic. You got green, the blues are just what they're supposed to be, and real sharp. All the details are real sharp. And as you can tell up here in the corner, we've got a SD card in here that records up to 10 hours. This is a 32 gig card that they shipped with this monitor, and therefore it can tape up to 10 hours continuously. And so when I get on the road, I'll show you what and all it can do. But as I said earlier, I had to use a bean bag to mount it on this dash because I have a textured surface. Plus I didn't want to install it up on the windshield because I have a dash cam, which is also made by Zero Club, and it's this dash cam right here. It's the WDR full high definition 1080 pixels, which is 1080 is down across the screen, and it's 1920 across, pixels across. That's high definition. But I bought this cigarette lighter. I only had one cigarette lighter, so I bought this adapter here that has 3 of them, and plus they also have push buttons on it. So once I turn my running lights on, I can turn the monitor on, as you can see, and you can I stuck some markers in the ground, and so I know that at the beginning of this red line is 5 feet from my bumper, and this is 10, and now this is 15 feet, and this is 20 feet away, and all the way back up here is 50 feet from my bumper. So I know driving down the highway how far a vehicle is from me, tailgating me. But I also have another button here that I can turn my dash cam on by pushing the button, and then my dash cam will come on. There. And this is a fantastic dash cam. Look at those colors, would you? Everything is perfect. It's just high definition. And it's recording right now. There's a little red dot up here at the top blinking. And it comes with a 8 gigabyte SD card. And the monitor that they sent me here comes with a 32 gigabyte SD card, and that's good for 10 hours, and this is good for like I guess 5 hours. But we're getting ready to drive out on the road, and then you can see vehicles That right there is a dirt road down beside me, and so we'll be able to see vehicles coming up on the left or right as we go through town. So let's get out on the highway. We are in town now, and I've stopped at a stoplight, and as you can tell, this vehicle behind me is about 5 feet away. Well, actually it's 10 feet away from my bumper. He was at that first red line. He's getting ready to pass me there on the right. Except school buses up here is going to stop him. I can see there's nobody on my right, so I can pull on over. Makes it easy for me to maneuver in town and out on the highway. We're on a 4-lane highway. I'm on 2 lanes over here. And you can see that the vehicle just passed me on the left. Well, we got back off the road, and I'm down in my driveway right now. So I'm going to show you that they have a menu on here. If you push the menu button here, you can see what they have. They've got the pairing, which is already done. You have picture, and I set it for a 10-second before this goes off. See, now it goes off after 10 seconds. You can adjust that for longer if you want to, but let's push menu again. We got picture, we've got mirror flip, a split screen. If you got more than one camera, well, you can use this right here. Push that again. System setup, that's for your time, setting your time, and other things. We also have play. You can play it back if you want to. And we also have record. You can hit record. And once this menu goes off, if you want to record, it's already set. So you just push select here, and you'll see up here it shows that it's recording. And if you want to turn the recording off, hit select again. And so that's how all those functions work. Once you got the menu on, and if you want to go over to the left, this arrow here points up. That means going to the left, and this means go back to the right. And that's what those arrows do. So you push it here and you see highlights. Push it again, that one highlights, and so forth. You go back the other way, go back to the beginning, and then after a few seconds the menu will go off. And so that's how that works right there.